Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, the focus is Club World Cup Fantasy Matchday 4. It's unlimited transfers this week, so I'm going to be sharing my team selection and the rationale behind each of my picks, as well as activating the qualifying booster. So without any more wait, let's get straight into it. So in goal, I've gone for Palmeiras goalkeeper Wetherington. He's only 4.9 million. He's one of the cheapest playing goalkeepers in the game with a good fixture. Now, Palmeiras are playing fellow Brazilian side Botafogo. It is expected to be a low scoring game according to bookmakers. In fact, one of the lowest predicted in terms of goals. So I do think investing in either of their defence is potentially a good idea. Now I do slightly edge Palmeiras. I do think Palmeiras are slight favourites in this game, and the bookmakers odds also reflect that. So and that is another reason why I have gone for Everton on top of his price, that is. Now, talking of price, Donnarumma is kind of on the pricey end of things. PSG look like they could keep a clean sheet this week against Inter Miami. They've kept 2 out of 3 clean sheets so far. They were also excellent in the Champions League, which they eventually won. So I do think investing in their defence, at least a double up. Spoiler alert, I have Hakimi. So I think outside of Hakimi, there aren't many kind of alternative options. I don't mind Mendes, but he does seem to be lacking recently in terms of attacking threat. Although he did show some in the Champions League, he's not as consistent, nowhere near as consistent actually as Hakimi. So again, I do think Donnarumma is a solid additional route into the PSG defence on top of Hakimi. So for that reason, Hakimi is Donnarumma is an easy addition. So in defence, you can see that I've gone fairly cheap. Obviously, at this point in the competition, I need funds in my attackers. I think that's going to be a trend in a lot of drafts that you see over the next couple of days. Now, Bayern are a good side. Obviously, they're not one of the best defenses, but not a lot of teams have fantastic defenses in kind of at this stage in the competition. Even the best Inter have conceded clean sheets lately in the last stages of the Champions League. So. But that is the point with Bayern. They're not one of the best teams defensively, but they do have a match against Flamengo, who have been hit and miss, haven't they? One of the cheapest routes into the Bayern defence actually is Stanišić. Now, he is 5.2 million. He's also one of the most reliable in terms of minutes. There is some rotation at the back, but with Stanišić, yes, you're not going to get goals, but you do get scouting bonus. He recently dropped to around 3% ownership. So I do think that he does offer more with the value, with the price tag, and obviously with scouting bonus than a lot of other pricey midfielders do at the moment. Now, I've also gone for Garcia. So I've had Trent for a couple of weeks now, and he's not really met his potential in terms of attacking threat, which has been really, really frustrating considering, he's 6.4 million. Fran Garcia, though, he's considerably cheaper. He's already managed an assist. He is been a bit of a shoo-in for the Real Madrid back line recently. So I do think he's a good alternative to Trent. I really, really do. I also have Manchester City's Akanji. Now, Akanji is one of a few midfield defenders that have played 2 out of the 3 matches so far. He has proved kind of crucial for the Manchester City backline over the last couple of matches, though. He's also one of the cheapest routes into defence at 5.6 million. And not only that, but as well as Stanišić, he too meets scouting bonus. I think he's like 1.7% owned. So I do think he obviously is a good option too. He's not going to get you goals, but the scouting bonus, the price, it all adds up, doesn't it? Now, I've also got Hakimi, as mentioned in the goalkeeper section. He's very expensive, but 20 plus attacking returns across all competitions last season. He scored and assisted in the Champions League final, scored and assisted in the last round. His goal and assist in the last one actually propelled me to around 300th in the world, which I'll forever be grateful for. Not just that, but kind of the UCL campaign just gone. He's been an excellent asset, multiple routes to points, and for me, essential. So definitely get Hakimi in your drafts this week. Now, on the bench is nice and cheap. Anton, a centre-back, he's around 4.something million. Very, very cheap. You need cheap defenders. Again, he's not going to score either, but he also meets scouting bonus, which I think gives him the edge. I also really like Svensson. I couldn't quite reach him. He's like 1.something mil extra, and I just couldn't really squeeze that budget out of my team. Although an excellent option, I do think Anton could well match him with scouting bonus. I just really like how cheap he is as well. So A lot could change, obviously, with my defence. There's some doubts around, obviously, Stanišić and potentially Garcia, but I do really like, and even Akanji, but I do really, really like this back line. So that's my defence so far. So in midfield, I'm not yet set in midfield either, but I do really, really think Olise is essential this week. Double digits for goals and assists last season in just the Bundesliga alone. Really impressive in the Champions League. I do think Bayern are going to beat Flamengo this week. Flamengo have conceded big chances. So for me, Olise is one of the standout midfield options going into this week, full stop, even at his price. I don't think you can go cheaper in the likes of Coman or Gnabry. I'm not sure you'll get away with that. I do really like Olise. I also really like Kvaratskhelia. I think both him and Olise are essential. PSG have a great fixture against Inter Miami this week, in which I can see them scoring 2, 3, maybe even 4 goals. Now, their attackers aren't exactly in fantastic form. Obviously, Barcola hasn't played much. Dembele still isn't fit. Carlo Ramos isn't great, full stop. But I do, really like Kvaratskhelia. He's been there. That he's their fittest, the most match ready. He's the most in form. 2 assists and a goal already in the Club World Cup. He was excellent in the last stages of the Champions League as well. He's just a magician. And obviously, if you saw his goal in Matchday 3, you know that he can get returns out of absolutely nothing. Joining him on doubling up on the PSG midfield is obviously Vitinha, penalty taker Vitinha, I must add. Now, he comes in at a great price. You need, nice cheap options, I think, at this point with the heavy premium. So for me, Vitinha is a great option. He comes around 6 million, nice and cheap, pans. He can obviously score an assist from open play. He showed that in the Champions League. I think he got an assist in one of his most recent games in the Club World Cup too. Similar price to him, actually, is also Neto. Now, Chelsea have created 10 plus big chances in the Club World Cup so far, and that is among the, of the sides that haven't played Auckland. They are one of the best. Now, obviously, they do miss chances, Jackson being obviously a biggest cause for that. Palmer hasn't been a self. So as soon as Palmer clicks, things could well click for Chelsea. Even if they don't know, Neto has proved that he can do it on his own. He managed goals in Matchday 1 and 2, was rested in Matchday 3. He's one of Chelsea's most important attackers. As a Chelsea fan, I know this. He is so important to us. So for me, around his price and in form, he just feels like a really, really good option this week. He's not essential. I just think he's a very, very good option. Now, obviously, to complete the midfield, I have gone for Bellingham, as you can see. Now, the Dortmund midfielders have been a bit of a nightmare, haven't they? Obviously, Adeyemi didn't play a game. Brandt didn't play a game after getting a couple of assists in his recent game. Now, Dortmund seem like they're relying on Bellingham quite a lot. He's playing in the number 10 role. He's scored and assisted in his last 2 matches. I think he's making Dortmund tick at the moment, and I really think the manager, feels like he is such an important cog in that attack. He's been excellent. Forget about Jude Bellingham's quality. Joe Bellingham has been absolutely excellent in his own right during the competition so far. Really is making a name for himself. So again, in that number 10 role, he's very dangerous. He's excited. He's new to the team. So I do think he's a good option. And he's at 5-point-something million as well. You can't really go wrong against Monterrey, right? So that's my midfield so far. So as you can see, I've gone quite heavy up top. I've gone for Haaland. Now, Manchester City have rotated a bit, but I think this is at this point in the competition, they're probably going to start playing their best players, and Haaland is obviously one of them. Takes pens. Only played 45 minutes in the last match and still scored. He is still one of the best strikers in the world. So for me, Manchester City playing Al Hilal, who do concede big chances. We saw that against Real Madrid. They concede big chances to good sides. And Haaland is obviously one of the best at putting him away. So for me, Haaland could be worth the money this week. There was a little bit of doubt in my mind that he might not be. I just don't think that Marmoush has been good enough. Cherki, again, not amazing. So I do really think that Haaland is still the standout attacker in the Manchester City side. Although Foden also a good option, I'm less keen on him. Now, I've also gone for Kane, obviously spearheading one of the best European sides offensively. Bayern have been absolutely fantastic in terms of goals scored, and Kane has been a massive contributor to that. 40 plus attacking returns across the whole of last season. He's just always amongst the play, isn't he? right at the edge of that by an attack, and not owning Kane really makes me nervous. You know, whenever I've not owned Kane in like Champions League fantasy or whatever it is, I've been extremely nervous. I was extremely nervous in Matchday 3 when I didn't own him, but luckily he didn't actually start the game and came on late. For me, I think he's definitely going to start, and I do think we'll see him get potential against Flamengo, who do concede big chances. Now, completing the line is obviously big chance guy. You know, Haaland Guirassy, he obviously missed a lot of big chances in the last game. Very frustrating, but he's getting those big chances. I do think Dortmund can score goals against Monterrey. You know, Monterrey have been slightly hit and miss, haven't they? So, you know, Dortmund are a proper tournament side. They know how to win tournament games. You know, I can't get their win against Barcelona out of my head recently in the Champions League, in which Guirassy scored a hat trick. That is what you can get with Guirassy. So if you don't own him when he does go off like that, then it could cause serious damage to like rank and mini league position. So again, I do think I'm really happy with that front three. I'm not sure I will change it unless I really need the money elsewhere. But for now, I'm fairly set with M3. So guys, that was my Club World Cup Fantasy Matchday 4 team selection video. If you did enjoy that video, please remember to like and subscribe. Whilst I'm here, I just want to say thank you to all the subscribers I picked up over the past week since starting my YouTube channel. Over 250 plus of you have subscribed to my channel, and I'm so thankful for it. For those that haven't subscribed yet, please do, and I'll see you again soon.